Has been water. Okay. Yeah, you got it. Right. Give it. I mean, yeah, Did I again? Going to our final segment today, but I want y'all to tell me. You can. Y'all had a good time? You want one of these? Right. She got a big voice. She got a big voice, but oh, oh, okay. Scream for the drone. Lisa. Lisa.
Hi, yes, please. What do you want to tell me? Tell me. Drones. All right. So everybody agreed the drones was the best, but we enjoyed everything, didn't we? The robotics, the virtual reality. Bajan Patsy, whose Bajan accent needs some work, but all right, it's a work in progress. Yeah. Okay. So now we are going to have a panel discussion with amazing women who work in the ICT sector. Yeah. Because we want all of you as young ladies to be aware of all the diverse careers that you can have in the ICT sphere. All right. So this panel discussion will be moderated by Miss Nicola Calendar. Each of the ladies will introduce themselves to you, talk about their journey, how they came to be the fabulous, amazing people that they are, and all that good stuff. All right. So we're going to get started with that. Over to you, Nicola.
So much. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's me again. I like to be on my feet. And this afternoon, we bring a diverse panel of young ladies who will chat with you a little. And the whole idea is to chat. They're not speaking alone. They will receive your questions after they've introduced themselves. And certainly, we hope that this evening will be insightful for you and that you'll be able to take something back to your various schools. St. Michael's School is here still? Just checking. That's not a biased thing or nothing, so it's just making sure we're still in the house. All right, so this afternoon, these five fabulous ladies in ICT, I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves. I'll tell you who they are just before we have. No, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon. My name is Kyria Brathwaite, and I am the first female retail technical expert at Flow. I find it a great opportunity to be able to be part of this company, which, as you guys will know, is a Barbadian company, regional and international company. So it's a really good opportunity to be a part of such a wonderful organization. So as we go on more, and in my questions, I guess I will be able to expand a little bit more on what I do and about myself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tammy Rose Evelyn. I am the marketing coordinator for Carter's General Stores. Um, all I hope is that what you take away from what I have to say today, that the same things you see me doing online are things that you can do as well. I hope that you are inspired by whatever it is that we talk about here and that you go on to do great things. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dion Gill. I'm the data analyst at the Ministry of, let's just call it the Ministry of Education. No. Um, I've been there for longer than all of you are alive. I've been there for the last 20 years. In this capacity, I believe I am the first data analyst to be at the ministry. I am the first data analyst to be at the Ministry of Education. And just briefly, I am a mother, a wife, and I am a Christian. And I hope that what I say to you, actually, a lot of what I will say to you will probably have a slant to my, my convictions. And I hope that you will receive everything that I say today and put it to good use for the future.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Allison James. I am a manager at KPMG. We are a global company, cross Caribbean as well. Um, and my role is in IT advisory, to put it in a nutshell. But really, I'm in the slant with regards to cybersecurity, data privacy, and AI. So I enjoy interacting with my clients and helping people solve their problems. And I hope that I can interact with you today as well and hear a bit from you and also share a bit about how my journey has taken me and how I hope that you guys will also be inspired and encouraged to grow as you progress in your school life and your professional lives eventually.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Natalie Abrams, representing for Queen's College, and also for Digicel, every Bajan's favorite network. I am the CEO for the Barbados operation. I am the first female CEO for Digicel Barbados. And I very much enjoy opportunities to engage with young people interested in the field of telco, in progressing and progressive young minds like yourself. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you'd like to hear from us.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. So far, we've heard from these five ladies in ICT, and certainly I'm sure that most of them would have met your your appetites will now be piqued to hear some more about their journeys in the area of ICT. You saw a lot this morning and you heard, surprisingly, we did not tell them how to sit, but I have Flo right here on my immediate right and all the way down on the other side on the provision of ICT in Barbados. These are the foundational companies, and I'm sure that you're aspiring to one day have residence in one of these organizations. We also heard from KPMG, and we know that this is a mega company across the world as it relates to accounting, usually. Of course, they try to get into ICT too, but this is because ICT is such an amazing area. We also heard from the Ministry of Education because this is where it all starts. They must certainly be the agents for ensuring that ICT reaches the young in Barbados. So we appreciate that very much. And of course, I know that you guys have not been sleeping in Barbados and you have seen the explosion of ads coming out of Carter's and this amazing young lady here behind the scenes, and she's going to tell you all about how she would have journeyed to this area and how all of a sudden everybody knows Carter's if they didn't know before because you're on social media. Am I wrong? All of a sudden, this has certainly come out. Now, they have asked me to make sure for young ladies, because we expect some questions from you, they've asked me to ensure that I advise that, of course, there will be prizes for those persons who take part in the discussion and to ask questions and who are interactive with the panel this evening, because we're not here to teach, we're here to advise and we're here to share with you some of. So to kick it off, I'm going to ask the young ladies here, when did you first find the motivation to embark on your current career path? We have a mic, so any of you can. When did you first find the motivation to embark on your current career path? What led you to this place? Wait here. Yeah. I sound like let's go forward. Okay, come on.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
All right. So when did I decide to follow this path? I wouldn't say that I wanted to do this from the time I was young. When I was young, I wanted to be an architect because I love to draw. I just figured that that was a good path to take. And that was like primary school. Secondary school, now, in my time, you had to take what you got. So when I got to like fifth form, fourth form, and I had to choose my subjects, I really actually wanted to do business because I loved math and I figured, oh, I could do accounts and so on. And that was my intended path. Not that I knew anyone in the field, but it just felt, like the most sensible thing to do. But as it goes, and I guess as secondary school teachers know, the issue is the timetabling, and you have to make sure that all of your classes are well subscribed. So I ended up in the languages. So I had to do French and Spanish, history, geography. At that time, there was no IT, so there was no subject called IT. I think my cohort was the first to do IT. This is when it was in second form because it was becoming a big thing in Barbados. And where I went to school, Combermere, that had the first, if I'm not mistaken, lab. So we were one of the first sets of students to, interact with computers. But it wasn't well developed, so there was no subject to do. So I just continued on that path. And when I was ready to enter university, that was around 1998-ish. So, 2000 was coming up. So computers was a big thing. So everybody was saying that that was a good field to go into. I'd never done computer science at all. And my interest was math. So my intention was to do math at university. And because computer was becoming a big thing, computer science was becoming a big thing, I just said, okay, let me do computer science. And that's how I got into the IT side. But I think it fit well with me because as a child, I was always a problem solver. Like my father was an electrician, so in my mind, he could fix anything. So I was into that stream already. Like if something was broken, let me figure out how to fix it. And that really played well into coding and programming. So I just had a knack for it. It just came naturally. So even though I had no prior experience with it from school, it just came naturally. So through university, that's what I excelled in. And then leaving university, and a lot of you will meet this stage where you do not know what to do. Okay, you go to secondary school, you finish university, what next, right? So I decided, okay, let me go and do a master. So I wanted to really specialize, and that is when I came across decision modeling, but I still wanted to keep a bit of the coding and so on and the computer science in it. So I did a master's in decision modeling and information systems. So that is really how I got my exposure to data and so on. And back then it was not as developed as it is now. So now you will hear a lot about data analytics and so on, but back then it was not a big thing. So and that's many, many, many years ago. So now it's almost I am learning. I am learning now because I did that area so long ago, I am still learning.
Thank you so much. That's one thing with ICT, ever changing.
Good afternoon again, everyone. Um, I think our stories are a little similar. So back in my day, um, you sort of just fell into either doctor, lawyer, of the
Accountant,
sort. That's what your parents pushed you towards.
true.
And so in my head, I was actually going to be a pediatrician. That was what I intended to do. I did sciences all through sciences and languages all through CXC. And then I specialized in sciences at A level and realized that I absolutely hated the sciences. I could not get away from it fast enough, but I had the benefit of a fantastic guidance counselor in my time. And I went to her and I said, I'm very organized and I have a little bit of OCD. So for me not to know what I wanted to do it unsettled me. And I went to her and I said, I cannot believe I don't know what I want to do with my life. And she gave me some of the best advice I've ever gotten. She said, try to align what you become interested in with what your personality naturally fits, because you're going to be pursuing this career for the rest of your life. It should feel natural, it should be interesting. And I actually ended up doing my studies in the field of human resources because I love meeting people. I like to think of myself as a problem solver. And so I naturally went toward human resources. That's what I studied. I then decided to do a master's, and I ended up in the professional services field, actually working with PwC, getting to put into practice a lot of what I'd learned. I was there for about 10 years, doing a lot of regional travel, working in a variety of sectors across the region, and then decided I was fed up with being a consultant. Because when you're a consultant, as you might know, you're giving lots and lots of advice to people, and then you're getting on a plane and flying away and saying, Here, hold that. Good luck. And what I wanted to do was be part of a company where I could see what worked well and what didn't work well and be responsible for either of the two possibilities. Um, so then I proceeded across a number of sectors in Barbados, and I was able to utilize a lot of the skills and experience that I gained along the way. Because the truth is, no matter what you think you want to do now, you may change your mind, and there's nothing wrong with that. The thing I would encourage you to do is every experience that here's somebody on their Duolingo racking up some points, okay? Um, but no matter what you decide to do, whatever experience that you do get, hold it, because it's going to be applicable to wherever you end up. You may learn organizational skills. You might learn to strengthen your interpersonal skills. You might meet people who you will come across again later in life. So I would encourage you that no matter where your journey takes you, take a little piece of every place you land with you onto the next opportunity. And that will bring me to my last point, which is put your hand up for opportunities. When I first entered the telecommunications field, I was at a barbecue and I entered into a conversation with a gentleman and we talked for an hour. Up to now, I haven't eaten. Um, but we kept talking, and I realized after the fact that he was actually interviewing me on the spot. Um, and the phone rang the next day. He asked me, would I come in for the interview? And I said, well, absolutely not. I have a job. But the lesson I learned there is always say yes. And so I said, what's the worst that could happen? And I went, I was successful. And that was how I first ended up in the telecommunications space. I left the business, did something else, and then the business called again and asked would I rejoin it. So this is my second time with Digicel. So the other lesson I would say here is wherever you go, try to leave a legacy. Work hard to the best of your ability. People will remember that legacy. They will remember who you are based on what you've contributed and what you've done. I didn't expect the phone to ring that second time, and now here I am. So those would be the lessons. And that's really how I got to where I am today. Saying yes, trying to take every opportunity, and trying to bring my experiences forward to the next opportunity.
Awesome.
Definitely well said, both of you. Um, I guess I can go back as well to not knowing what I wanted to do at school because I was pretty much good at most subjects. When it came to that time to choose, I said, you know what? I'm not choosing sciences because I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to study for 6 years before I get a job. So I said, okay, let me go into IT and business. Um, Fast forward, and I felt like if I was the fool in the room because I'm still studying and still learning with this field because it's always changing and evolving. So I'm going to say that that's the first part in me being where I am today. Being open minded and always realizing that you have to learn, you have to grow to evolve. If not, you get outdated very quickly because things are changing at speed. Um, to piggyback on what others said in terms of saying yes and stepping up for opportunities, don't second guess yourself. You can do it. You have something to deliver, you have something to put forward, you have something to contribute. When opportunity arises, say yes. Do the work you need to do to get there and be successful, yes, but don't second guess yourself. And that's where I am today in terms of moving from actually, I'm a chartered accountant as well. So I have my ACCA, IT auditing, cybersecurity, data privacy, role of AI now, and it just keeps growing and keep evolving. So that's what happens. Stepping stones, evolving.
Okay, so let me go back. Not that far back because I'm only 28. However, starting from the beginning, I feel like we all here have similar stories. So, to Natalie's point, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a pediatrician, right? Until I went to my pediatrician, who I loved very dearly, and she was not there. She had chicken pox. So I called her. And she told me I just got chicken pox from another baby that I was dealing with um a few weeks ago. I said, huh? Not me. I ain't getting sick for no children. Somehow I thought that they did not get sick. So scrap that. Went to school. I was in love with the arts, honestly. Not that great at it, but I was in love with them. But as I progressed, I found myself being very good at literature and then law. My father wanted me to be a lawyer as well. So I went down that path, straight to university doing law. By the second year, I knew very well that that was not for me, right? There's no creativity in law whatsoever. You're in a box and you cannot step out of that box, and I hated it. I still finished it though, which is a point that I need to make because when you start something, finish it. I finished it, I have that degree, but I knew very well that was not for me. So during university, I was the public relations officer for a number of societies. It was the Law Society, it was the Disabled Society, and the Barbados Student Association. And through that, I discovered that, hey, I like social media. I like being in the public. I like speaking on behalf of a body of persons. I like that kind of thing, right? So from there, then I realized, yes, this is where I need to go. Now, I don't have a degree in marketing. I did go back to university and get a diploma in digital marketing, but I don't have a bachelor's or master's, none of that in marketing or digital marketing, right? And I think that's very important for me to tell you guys as well, because you might think that you need to do all of that. You should stay in school. Let me say that real quickly. Stay in school, learn. But the thing about social media and digital marketing is that expertise is king, right? So when I was doing that, when I realized that was what was for me, I started doing it sort of free for small businesses that I knew, the owners and stuff like that. And that was me building up my portfolio of work, right? So that included graphic design, it included, helping them build their brands up, their brand awareness, that kind of thing. And it is from that that I ended up getting my first job, right? From having that portfolio, not from having a degree. Um, and then from there, I was poached. I went to Carter's, and I think from there it is history. I think the only thing that I would add on to what everyone up here has already said, yes, when opportunities arise, say yes, take them, but don't wait for opportunity. Because if I did not go out and start to build up my portfolio, I would have never gotten my first job, right? So it is very necessary for you to go out there and pursue what you want, take action so that when opportunity arises, you're even considered, first of all, and then you can say yes. All right. Thank you.
Good stuff. This is really really good stuff. Because I could take something for everybody and just pile it all together and say yes, that's me. But I'm gonna start this journey at 28. At 28, there was a revelation that was given to me from a pastor in church, and that revelation was God has written His will in the very fibers of our personalities, our gifts, our talents, and our abilities. You guys know what a fiber is? Alexa, Alexa, I'm going to ask you to take a fiber from your sock. Just pull on your sock, and something is going to come out of it. And when you get it, I want you to hold it up. Can you guys can see that fiber? Right. But that makes up her socks. You can see her socks, right? God has written His will in the very fibers of who we are. You grow, you don't always understand what you want to do and who you are going to be and what you want to be. But as you go and as you learn yourself and as you see the gifts and the talents and the abilities come out of you, because you start doing things and you realize, I like doing this or I good at doing this. And then you see, okay, well, yeah, this is a part of who I am. It's already written. There's no big revelation knowledge to have about it. It's already inside of you. So exercise your gifts, exercise your talents, exercise your abilities. And as I got this revelation knowledge and I began to think back when I was younger, I thought there were things that I liked doing. And then when I became older, I was actually walking and doing the things that I like doing and the things that I dreamed I would have been doing. And that's because I followed the things that were written inside of me. Yes, there are things that will come. There go keep staying in school, get your education. So you have something that you can use to fall back on. Your experiences are also keys to fall back on, but believe in yourself and what is already written inside of you. Follow that journey with all the other tools, bring them into play, and then you guys will excel at whatever you decide to do as long as it's a part of you. You're going to enjoy it. It's not going to feel like a job. You're going to have an inner joy and an inner peace doing what God has called you to do. So that's my journey. If I was to begin to pinpoint certain things, I started out in the restaurant industry. Never ever ever believed that I would be in technology, and because I wanted a change in my life at that time, following again that desire to change and to do something different, I ended up working in a retail store where I came in contact with phones on a daily basis, selling phones and fixing phones and provisioning phones and setting them up, troubleshooting, applying tempered glasses, putting on cases, all that kind of stuff. And that led me to where I am at Flow, I decided that had a restaurant business, still have a restaurant business, but I wanted to go back to the technology because I realized that's where I wanted to be. So I applied to Flow, one of the most awesome companies in Barbados with so many opportunities. And I applied to Flow and I went into the company in field sales as a field sales agent, meaning I'm working on the road and interacting with customers. And then there was an opportunity that became available with the position as a technical expert. And my supervisor said to me, Kara, you used to do phones and you do this. So if you combine the two of these together, I think that you'd be really good at what you at this position and what's being offered. And I took full advantage of the position, not realizing that I would have been the first female to pick up the position in the company. So when I realized that that's where I was, and I find myself in forums like this, having to speak, I just again thank God that He gave me the ability to be able to be in these places. So I say to you guys, to dive it in deep within yourselves and be true to who you are. Social media tells you be this and be that, be whoever you see on social media every day. But you were not made to fit in. You were created to stand out. And the only way that you can do that is if you find that part of you and let it shine brighter than anything else.
Awesome. Awesome. Give these young ladies a round of applause. So I have another question, but for my panelist number six. Panelist number six being the audience, our girls in ICT. I really want you to be involved here, and I know that there's a movement here right now. Let me see all those persons who are in ICT right now in their schools. You are participating actively. And what is that burning question based on these journeys that you've heard so far? What is that burning question that you have for our panelists? I'm going to come around, but you can start to ask before I get to you. Oh, you'll take a mic. Okay, thank you so much. So let's. Oh, there you go.
I just wanted to know if you faced any discrimination being a woman in the ITC field. Oh, I just wanted to know if you faced any discrimination being a woman in the ITC field.
The question.
So, first off, congratulations to you. That is a very topical question that you've raised. I will say this. I think we are very blessed in Barbados, in particular in Barbados, where in many cases we have moved past a space where people are surprised to see women stepping up. A lot of our brightest minds are females, and that takes nothing away from the males. We have to get rid of this notion that for women to be great, men or boys must be less. That's not true. There is space for everybody. So I think we're very privileged to live in Barbados. And back in the day, yes, when you entered the room as a young female, persons often wondered what it was that you had to contribute to the conversation. And that is why I would advise each of you to prepare yourselves for the rooms that you are in. Make sure that the first thing people get to take away about you is what you have to say, what your opinions are, and how you show up. You are not entitled to be in any space simply because you are a woman and because mostly there are men in this space. Y'all don't need that. You're bright, you're smart, and you have something to contribute. So every room you enter, make sure that you come into the room with something to say. Always have a question to ask, always let your voice be heard. And almost immediately, you take off the table anyone saying, well, she's just here because she's a girl. She's just here because they needed a woman. She's just here to fill out a number. So you immediately move the conversation away. Now, I want to have a real conversation with you. We have a culture in the Caribbean and Barbados where we like to believe that any and everything can be said to a woman. So when you come to the room, someone might choose to comment on how you look, and they may not do that to your male colleague, a fellow male student, the first gentleman that you work with in your first job, but they may see you and go, oh, like that blouse, nice hairstyle today. And that's something that your male counterpart does not have to tolerate in many instances. So for the girls, again, I would recommend try to take that off the table immediately. Thank you and keep it moving. Create the conversation back to where you needed it to go. Whatever the purpose was of the meeting that you're in or the room that you're in, move the conversation away from that. Because as beautiful as you all are, you are way more than that.
Now, I want you to take what Natalie just said and keep it in your back pocket. Yeah. Because that's how you get past it. But being real, yes, I have experience. I've experienced both sides. I've experienced where it didn't matter that I was female. And I've also experienced where you get that hesitation. Does she know what she's talking about? Because my background is in auditing. And can you imagine me coming into this boardroom of executives, some most of them sometimes maybe male, and saying, hey, this is not working well in your system. This is an error I noticed here. They're very defensive. One experience I always remember and cherish is that I had a boss who stood up for me. So we entered into the room. Before we said anything, he set the stage. He was like, this is Allison James, and she is qualified. She knows her stuff. Yeah. And that set the tone for the meeting because then I had that platform where I was respected. Now, should that happen? Should I need him to speak up for me? Probably not. But being realistic, we're dealing with people, different personalities, different backgrounds, we adjust. As Natalie said, make sure that you qualify yourself to be in the room. No matter where you go, you have something to contribute. And don't let anyone dull your shine. Yeah. Because I remember even on my in my journey, the path to cyber, even now I think most people still think of males. And sad to say, I did have someone in my not my circle but professionally make comments to say, oh, hmm, Allison and cyber. And I took that to heart. And for a little bit, that actually delayed my progress. Don't do that. Don't let that happen to you.
Yes, I can't really say that I've experienced any discrimination. Um, if I really try to think about my past experiences and things that may have occurred that may have some semblance of discrimination, but not overt discrimination, it would ironically be from females, where they don't really, I don't get the sense that I'm taken seriously because you're a female. So I guess the expectation is that, males will do this, males will be out front, especially because remember I said I'm in data. And traditionally, you may find that the analysis of data seems to be more like a statistical thing. So it's more math. But because my background is in coding, I get to bring that into the analysis of data. So I have experienced cases where persons, females, they hear I'm in data, so they accept that. But when I mention that I use coding, then they're shocked that I use coding to assist me with my work. So that would be the only thing. But I don't, because I mean, I've grown up with males, mainly males around me, and I never felt less than. I sometimes prefer dealing with males. It just that's just how I grew up and have many male cousins and family members, many uncles and so on. So I am comfortable, but I've never experienced any overt discrimination. But as the other said, I would encourage you to make your mark so that there's no chance for persons to doubt your abilities.
I don't really have much to add here because I'm here to talk about social media. Social media, we don't have these problems. And anybody can deal with this. So no, I've had no discrimination. I don't see that being a challenge here. So positivity all the way around.
Right. Again, I agree with her. In my field, we have high standards in flow. And so I think that we respect the standards that are set there. And so there's nobody who's discriminating anybody for any reason. But I do see if I'm interacting with a customer because they're used to dealing with males and they're now dealing with a female, they may be a little, you can get this dude. So I like when they have those opportunities when they can actually win them back from the men. So yeah.
Awesome. Are you satisfied? Yes. So the entry pathway is clear. There was another question somewhere. Let me see that hand again. No questions for these ladies? Oh, there you are. Here, thank you. You see, and then I tell
Okay, I kind of have a multi-part question. So the first part of my question would be, do you think that there is a lack of opportunities in ICT within the Caribbean? And then the other part of the question would be, in the opportunities that are available, do you think that there is a sense of being outdated or because it's in the Caribbean, or that we're evolving with the rest of the world? Are we like delayed since we're in like a third world country?
Hmm. Okay, so dealing with social media, no, they are not limited. Um, there's no limit on the room for social media people, content creators, wherever you want to go in social media. Everybody needs marketing. Everybody needs social media at this point. At least that is where we are right now, right? Not gonna get into AI, but for right now, everyone needs a social media person, right, to succeed. So there's no limit there. Repeat your second question because I have something to say about that and I don't want to forget. The second part, sorry.
The second question was, in the opportunities available, do you think that there is a sense of being outdated or left behind since we're in a third
Yes,
world
that is
country?
why I grabbed this mic really quickly. Because, yes, we are very outdated here in the Caribbean. That is why everybody seems to think that I've done something special. I always like to come and say it is not. If you look overseas, this is what people are doing. It is just not down here yet. And you guys are capable of doing it. I assume that everyone in here has some form of creativity. Um, Use that. I would also say try to align yourself with companies that allow you to be creative as well. That's if you're looking to do the social media thing, but there's creativity for every career, right? So make sure that wherever you end up, you may have a passion for something. Don't end up in a company that kills that passion. End up somewhere that allows you to flourish and grow. Okay? Thank you.
To your question, my area is data analytics. Um, Remember, as I said before, I studied, I was interested in this area 20 years ago. Actually, no, about almost 25 years ago. Um, but only now am I really hearing about data, hear about big data and so on. But when I first went to study, I felt like I didn't, I knew this is an area that I wanted, that I was interested in, but I didn't know for sure that when I came back home, that I would find an opportunity to really express myself in that area. So if I can go back to when I first started to work, I first started as a teacher because I wanted to work at Flow. Sorry, Cable and World is so bad. From the time I left university, that was where I wanted to go. But that was not to be. The next place I think was Light and Power. I wanted to work at these companies because I saw that these are companies that I could really, express myself in. But that was not to be. So I decided, okay, let me go to teach. I've had teachers in my family and I know that it's something that I could do. Right? While there, I was asked by the principal of the school I was at the time to analyze some examination scores. So I did that, did it to the best of my ability, as I would encourage each and every one of you to do everything you can. Everything you do it to the best of your ability. So I did that. And then that was presented to somebody in the Ministry of Education. And they asked, did this. So that's really how I got into the Ministry of Education. But when I got there, it was like I was starting from ground zero because nobody knew anything about this thing. And I know I've battled over the years. Am I doing the right thing? Because there's nobody to tell me you doing it right or you doing it wrong because it seems like nobody knew about it. So in that regard, I felt like, especially well in government, it seemed sorry, the ministry let me okay, the Ministry of Education, it was so behind. Like I know I wasn't able to, well, Nicola, you can defend your your department, right? But I felt really, really far. Like everybody was in the dark ages as it seems. So I wasn't able to really, expand and grow as I wanted to under the mentorship of somebody else. It was like I was the chief cook and bottle washer. So my interest then led then to just trying to create a system that somebody else could come and rest on. So in that regard, I really felt like we were behind. But hopefully with the whole talk of big data and so on now, we can, kind of speed up a little bit in the Ministry of Education slash government.
So I want to start my response with saying technology is technology. Yeah. Your view of technology and how you use it makes a difference. So to your first part where you're asking if there's opportunities available. That was your first question, correct? Yes, they are. Short answer, they are. Um, because we're plugged in, thankfully we're in a country that we have access to the internet. There's some countries that don't have it. It may be a little blocked off. We have access. We have access, and there are ways for us to plug in and see what the world is doing and plug into digital remote working, remote learning. It's there. Yeah. Our us being in the Caribbean or Barbados, there are some challenges. For example, when it comes to making money off of platforms, yes. But by and large, there are opportunities for us to still plug in and get around things. What I find is that we have a lot of entrepreneurs on island that may not be known that are working for companies outside as well that you know talk to people and learn, and you will see what opportunities are really available. But I come back to say that how you view technology and how you view what we have available makes a difference, because we want to encourage a generation that uses technology to advance development, personal, country level, Caribbean wide. So bear that in mind. It's all about building yourself up. So yes, it's great to go on Instagram and scroll through, sure. But how are you using it to benefit yourself, benefit your school, your region, your island?
So I'll be very direct. Are there opportunities? Yes. And it's exactly for the reason that you specified. So we are a developing country and we are now trying to catch up in this space. So for that very reason, we don't necessarily have the latest and the best and the greatest, and we aspire to get there. The only way we're going to get there is if the younger generation, such as yourselves, takes an interest in this space. I hear a lot, oh, there aren't the opportunities to study the particular areas that are all hot and trending now. Many persons choose then to leave the island and leave the region and get their studies in place and be exposed to things that they may not be here. But then, are there opportunities? So I'm going to call out Tammy for the second time today because she did it when I came in and she did it again. And we've talked here about not dulling your shine. So I'm a huge fan of Tammy's, and we met for the first time today. I'm a fan of hers because she's a younger person and she's extraordinary at what she does. And if you listen to what she said, people think that it's such a big deal, but people have been doing this ever since everywhere else, but they weren't doing it here that way. So, what she has managed to do is find a niche that because we are a developing nation, we're a little more afraid of some of the new trending hot stuff. We're a little bit more afraid, based on our culture, of taking some of the risks that I've seen her take in her space. And so she said, that's a niche for me. That's an opportunity. And we talked about opportunity. And she has filled that gap. So now people are chasing after Tammy's style in how they choose to approach social media. So that's seeing an opportunity and capitalizing on it. So, yeah, opportunities. She's created one for herself where she chooses to live. And similarly, because we are developing, there are so many other opportunities as we try to get that strength underneath us as a nation in the space of technology and IT. So the future is just so wide open for you guys and is limitless in terms of where you could go in the ICT space.
Um, I wanted to ask if you guys were hesitant in moving from one working space to another.
Yes, we always are. Because yes, obviously there are parts of us to wonder if we can get the job done. You always wonder, can I do it? Um, am I able to carry out the tasks and the stuff that are being asked of me? So yes, you do have that moment where you're moving from one department into another or from one position into another, that you have doubts or fears. But as you know, you don't let your doubts or your fears overcome you. um you know what your abilities are, and as you continue to grow, as you continue to, sometimes you just gotta teach yourself. You're in the field that you're going into. Sometimes you don't always necessarily have to wait for somebody to teach you or train you, but you have access to Google and all these stuff that is on the market now that gives you the opportunity to go on and learn more about the field that you're going into. So even if you feel that you're not capable or you feel fearful of taking on a particular position or taking on anything for that matter, educate yourself about it and then walk in it.
I don't think I have much to add to that, honestly. I don't think that I was fearful to change. I was not going to do law, so so I jumped right in. Um, there is always, as Natalie just, drag me up again, and I appreciate it. I do. I think there's always a bit of, I don't want to call it fear. You don't believe in yourself as much as you should. That's across the board, right? So no, there was no fear in changing, but in the position that I'm in now, I do find myself sometimes questioning, well, how did I end up here? Like, how did I end up in a situation where I'm walking down the street and people hollering out for my name? And I'm like, okay, but you have to, as Natalie keeps telling me, and as I have tried to tell myself, you have to live in your purpose. You know what I mean? You have to acknowledge that, yes, this is something that you're doing. You seem to be good at it, accept it, and keep on walking.
Oh, yeah.
They're really, I've been at the same place for a long time. The only hesitancy was when I was, as I said, I was moving from teaching into the ministry. I had grand expectations. So that's where a little bit of hesitancy and fear came. But then as I went on, I realized, oh, it's not that serious. Just do what you do well. Just do what you do to the best of your ability. Have high standards so that Wherever you go, you know that they are expecting somebody of a high standard.
To add on to all that was said before, um, stepping stones. So yes, there's always hesitancy sometimes when you have to change. Change is always a little scary at times. But remember, what I am learning is that, eventually you align with your purpose. You align. And the things that you've passed through were stepping stone skills you had to learn that will serve you going forward as well. So yeah.
Short answer, yes. Change is very scary. Anytime you're doing something that you're not accustomed doing or entering a new space, it is frightening because one, you don't want to look foolish. Two, you want to win, I assume. I can see it all over your face. I would say it's really important, just layering on top of the other ladies, who you choose to keep around you and associate with. Because those people are going to encourage you when you doubt yourself because they know you best. They know what you're good at. They know how you question yourselves. They're going to ask you the right questions to challenge you to make sure you're making good decisions for you. And they're also going to try to point you in a better direction if maybe you're not going in the right direction in terms of a change that you're considering. So for me, I value my very small network. They're my trusted advisors. And if they believe in me sometimes more than I believe in myself and make me feel like I can tackle a change, but it's absolutely natural to be afraid of doing something different and moving into a new phase of life. Just keep good people around you who can keep you grounded and give you good advice.
From the discrimination topic earlier, I just wanted to know, like, did that motivate you or demotivate you to continue what you do?
Yes, motivating because regardless, like I said, um, you can't let people dictate your pace, dictate where you grow into. And I don't want to, when I get older, I don't want to look back and say, what if? And regret because someone said something that threw me off a bit. No, 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 no. No. Keep growing, keep striving. And in any case, sometimes it motivates me to go even harder. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. SMS.
I was just wondering what is data analytics and how is it useful in education?
Right. Let me just try to be very simple because when you hear data analytics now, you get all excited and so on. So let me just focus on what I do at the Ministry of Education. So basically, um, all the student and teachers demographic data, we compile that and we publish it and release it to whoever requests it. So it may be researchers, it may be international agencies who use this data to create indicators for the country. So indicators really tell the world how each country is doing in comparison to one another. So for instance, we may want to measure what is the enrollment rate. So how many students are going to school in Barbados versus how many are supposed to be in school. So throughout the world, we can compare that indicator to tell a story about if certain countries are meeting internationally set goals for schooling or not, right? Um, we also interrogate examinations data. So that's how we know, okay, schools are performing below expectation, above expectation, and you can drill deeper to see in what areas specifically are students not performing in. So, you do an examination paper, but it's made up of a series of questions and many content areas. So, you may be doing a math paper, you may want to test addition, subtraction, your worded problems, and so on. So we drill deeper to figure out what is the specific area. You can even drill further to figure out what question is posing the problem. Is this question written properly? Is it, over time giving the students issues? And then that helps to inform teachers as to what areas they should really tackle when they're instructing you as students. And it can go on and on and on. But what I try to do is not necessarily focus on the traditional areas. So you hear about enrollments and so on. So this is I told you just now about examinations. Usually you would just hear about pass rates and so on, right? But pass rates is so macro, so to speak. It's so, we want to drill further down. What if you're really going to improve the system? What is the data really, really telling us? If we drill right down, right down. Okay, so you understand that? Right, but there's so much more that we could get into um, in terms of visualization. So even though, even though I may present to you pass rates and so on, a table is very boring. And guess that's where my creative side comes in. I like to see where I always get laughed at because everybody says every time they come to my computer, they see a lot of colors. So I like to see lots of charts and so on to make it interesting and appealing for whoever has to digest this information so that, they want to look at it. It's just not a bunch of numbers and tables.
Um, for social media, a lot of content in Barbados kind of stays within Barbados or the Caribbean. So I wonder how does it feel when you see creators from like America or any other main country really kind of post the most simple things and just go viral and feel you have to put in more work to go somewhere when it doesn't reach too far most of the time. Just want to know how that feels, or if you face a discrimination from other people from main world countries, I guess.
Okay, so I wouldn't say that content from Barbados doesn't go worldwide. I would say that Carter's, like his tweet specifically, has gone worldwide. We might not be up in the millions of views yet, of course. But however, when you look at the analytics, you can tell that there are other countries viewing what you're doing, right? What I think is the challenge is that a lot, if you're speaking about businesses specifically, um, we're not making content that is valuable, interesting, engaging for the international market to be able to be interested in it. I think that we think very small usually, and we are marketing, I guess, we're marketing to our target audience, which is mainly Bajans anyways, right? So we're not really looking to get the engagement from overseas because our business, at least I'm speaking for Carter's because we do have regional companies here. But for a company like Carter's, you are only in Barbados. So somebody in US liking or engaging with my content makes no difference to me unless they come and live here and shop with us, right? So it depends on what you are looking to do, your KPIs. What is it that you want to accomplish, achieve? And then creating content that would relate to those people, that would make it interesting for those people. So I don't think we have that challenge. We have a few influencers down here that I also believe are doing fairly well and are being seen internationally. Again, you just have to cater your content to the market that you're trying to reach, right? Okay.
Still one?
It's not a question, but based on what you said, about not letting people thoughts get to you. So this is a little off topic, but probably I could get a little encouragement or so. But I would say that from growing up, I always think of myself wanting to be a chef. And then as I grow older, I decided that I still want to be a chef, but I find myself interested in pastry. But my first choice would still be culinary, but I would like to take a little part with pastry as well. But then I have some auntie and my grandma would say, "Oh no, don't be a chef," because my auntie would say, "It won't pay me as much. I should try something else." But I still don't let that get to me because that's what I want. That is where my heart belongs, I feel. And I try to make it up to. But sometimes I just feel a little discouraged. But I keep trying.
Right, I
Yeah.
agree. I totally agree. Right, so I just want to take this moment to encourage you. And it starts off just as I was saying to you before, that you have to know who you are. Nobody can tell you who you are. You have to know who you are. You have to know what your desires are, and you have to go after them. You cannot be discouraged, no matter who it may be, by anything that anybody tells you other than what you believe that you are. Um, so yeah, I think I can pass on the mic because I think that she may have something to say to you. Because I think your question was more focused to something that she said, right? So I'm gonna let her speak, but don't don't be discouraged.
Yes. Um, I know it can be hard sometimes shutting out, filtering out the noise. Yeah. But for reasons such as not gonna pay you, um, that's not something that I would think is positive. That sounds like a fear. That person is afraid that you will not succeed. Don't feed into that. Sometimes when I think about decisions, I try to think what is causing me to step back. Is it fear or is it a real concern? If it's fear, fight it. Yeah. And as the others were saying, surround yourself with people that can help motivate you and encourage you to grow. Because who knows, you could be next top chef.
What I want to add on to that quickly though, what I want to add on to that quickly, right? I agree with what both ladies said. Um, I had a similar situation. Like I told you, my dad wanted me to do law, right? And at the time that I wanted to switch into social media, the awful ain't about that. My father thought I was crazy, right? So I understand it, but the other perspective that I want to put forward to you, which I already did, is to finish whatever it is that you start. And it's always good to have something to fall back on, right? It is a great dream to want to be a chef. It is, you can make money being a chef, okay? Um, but don't ignore your family members either. They care about you. What I would say is listen to them, hear what it is that they have to say. Maybe they just want you to have something to fall back on. Keep pushing them, keep letting them know, hey, this is what I really want to do. Show them examples. Hey, this person did this and they got through. They're successful. This is the path I want to take. Um, but don't take it as them trying to instill fear in you. Sometimes they can't see ahead because they didn't have the opportunity to, right? So that's just what I wanted to leave with you. They mean well, they have good intentions. The sometimes the best way to combat that is to show them examples of where you want to go, right?
Good evening. I waited till all the youngsters had a question because my question is going to go to three persons on the panel and it's going to hit kind of hard, right? Um, we are, as was mentioned before, we're way behind as far as technology is concerned. And it has been a debate for years whether to allow devices in school, devices not in school. We are moving forward. You're smiling. We're moving forward to an age where we e-books and moving away from physical textbooks to move into books online. But how are we going to get there if we're not allowing for devices? But there's a way to be able to control students and their devices of how they're going to log on. Now, I know the three persons on the panel know who I'm speaking to now when I say this. To be able to log on to just the school's network alone and other networks shut out, right? So you have a control of what students are able to do, where they're able, when are we going to, the question is, we got to get there. We're going to get there. But the question is, when are we going to get there? How far behind or how long is it going to take for us to get there as a region or as a country when the others are already stepping and step forward way ahead of us? Yes, it is costly, but the two ministries that you know that any country need to compel money or push money into is education and health. Without those two ministries getting money and finances pumped into, the country does not go anywhere. So when are we as a country going to be able to get to that stage where we get rid of the textbooks, being physical textbooks that the children is throw one side, that the students is throw one side, right? I know a lot of them still do it. That got a lot of dog ears. They can't find it. You gotta pay for the books. You gotta order in books and get to that. So when you think any of the three of you all, which three y'all ain't know which three we know? Come on, don't play. All right, I can call names Flo, Digicel, and we can just go with the one name for the Ministry of Edu for now. We ain't able all the extra names right now. When you think we're gonna get there, we need to get there, but when are we gonna get there? That's my question.
I can let the ministry start and then I can pop in with the technology.
Remember, I am into data. I can't I can't answer that, but I will just be in general. I think that for us to advance, we just need an enabling environment. And I will leave it there.
So I'm trying to be cognizant of the forum and the audience. Um, and I'll say this: your questions are good ones, but I think this is the wrong forum. And let me at a high level say why I say so. Someone at this table mentioned it. You have actually delved into matters of national policy, right? So there needs to be a decision taken at the policy making level on how we will approach the use of technology in education. But there are real practical considerations that I think we need to bear in mind when we talk about the advancements. I don't want us to count ourselves out. Yes, as a region and a country, we are behind more developed nations, but we're not all bad either. The technology does exist in region and in market to do some of the things in Barbados, to do some of the things that you've described. So, based on your geographical location, not I, Natalie, but it can be limited what you can access. But bear in mind, when you talk about technology in schools, you have questions of affordability. So, one, can the school system afford to supply technology for every single student? Two, if it cannot, some schools then depend on students to supply their own technology. Can every family afford to do that? How is that going to be subsidized? How do we cater for the child who can have the latest iPad and the child who cannot? And then, if I am asking you as a school administrator to bring your personal device to school to access the technology, can I, as the school, determine what you can and cannot access on your device? So there are actual policies of law, a national policy that need to be considered to answer your question.
Or you know,
I not answering. That's it for questions. There were two other questions. Just take these two quickly because we're on our wrap up. I know you guys will not believe it, but it's after 3 o'clock. Believe it or not. Oh, okay. Where's my other mic? Questions. Yes.
I just want to know, outside of IT, are there any subjects recommend uh you would recommend us doing for a CXC or anything like that? Or yeah, besides IT, or like any programs, anything like that?
Just generally.
Just generally, or oh, haha, math. What else would I suggest?
Comprehension for sure. Whether you're a techie or not, you have to be able to talk to people and you have to be able to communicate technical concepts to the average person. Everybody will not be technically minded, but
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, but there's so many variants you can go right now with, and even if you don't get the right subjects now, it's not the end of it because there's always ways to pick up and do other things. What I'm seeing and where things are going with technology is that is an evolving field. So you have people that don't know or didn't do anything to do with computers in their formative years, but now they're in technology related fields because they have to keep learning, and the technology is merging with things like HR and um, law and social media and other marketing. They're merging. They really are merging a lot. So I do think that sometimes it's good to have a varied background because then you can relate to different people. And in the age of AI, you know that everyone has to be at the table if we want to have good AI systems that interact with us and can help us. So yeah, varied.
okay, one more question.
Awesome. It took all my strength not to try to answer all of those questions. All of my strength and all of my restraint, especially the educational ones. But I wouldn't do the comments on those right now. I think the ladies handled every single one of them expertly, and and we're so pleased to wrap up because I think we're just a little bit over time. I'm going to give each of the young ladies at least a minute to just wrap up and to indicate to all of you young ladies exactly their parting words from their perspective, what they've seen today in the robotics. I'm not sure if everybody saw the robotics display, the drone display, and certainly there was the Bajan Patsy. I'm sure everybody taking the Bajan Patsy, who's almost Bajan, no, and and of course the metaverse. And I would want to hear from you ladies now in terms of today, what else can be done to encourage these young ladies to, if they want to get involved in ICT, the way to go. I know I heard someone say, um, most persons don't have the background. That's because the background wasn't there before. Now it's here. It's here and it's in the schools, not in the big way that I really want it to be, but certainly, hopefully, while I have breath in this body and for here in Barbados. And one of the things that we must debunk is that we are really far behind. We're not really far behind. I just came home from Timor Leste and we met with Sri Lanka, we met with Australia, we met all over the world. And we are at the same place as it looks to rolling out systems. We're not where Singapore is, but we're certainly, it must be a journey. It must always be a journey. And if you, again, we are partnering with CARICOM today, and the chairman of CARICOM is our very own Prime Minister of Barbados. And you will know since 2018, digital transformation has for sure been a focus for the government of Barbados. So we are on our way. We are on our way. And ladies, young people, we really want you to join us in this journey. It's really a journey. There's a destination, and every time the destination changes, but we're still moving up that hill. So I want to hear from the young ladies here today in their fields. Encourage these young people to join us on this journey in ICT.
Okay, so as I haven't been able to see a lot of what was happening. I experienced the virtual, um, I experienced the virtual show, the AI. I had the experience of those, but as it relates to a company with Flow, what we have put in place is to make sure that every Barbadian has internet in their homes. I think for us that was a good start to make sure that every single Barbadian has internet in their home. So we have a program called the Jump program. That program offers the people who may be less fortunate or people who may not have access in their homes now. We have a program that makes sure that you have it. So if there's anybody in this room, any children in this room, and you don't have internet in your home, ask your parents to reach out to us. Come to one of our locations, retail locations, and we will give you more information as it relates to the Jump program. So we play our part in making sure that you all have internet in your home. Um, for me personally, what I would want to offer you is to not limit yourselves. There is, and like we said, technology is being introduced. There are always steps that are being taken. Be a part of that. Be a part of what is happening. Um, in my field, I do not have a degree in anything that has anything to do with technology. It was all experience, and it was all a desire to learn. And so I pretty much taught myself what I know. And then the experience, then learning from other people who know more, and so therefore be a part of the move and the shift that is happening over the country to elevate ourselves to the place where we need to be technologically. So don't box in yourself. Don't think that you have to have a particular degree to be in any position. Don't think that you have to have anything in particular. You just need to have the desire to want to be a part of the move and a part of the shift. And so I encourage you to, again, don't box in yourself. Embrace the change. The only constant thing is change. So we want to embrace the change. Seasons change, things change. We either can walk with the change or we can get left behind. You guys are the future of technology. You are the future. We can step away. I 45. I don't know how old the ladies are. I'm not sure if they're willing to say, but I'm 45 years old. And in another 20 years, I can shift away from where I am, maybe to do something else. But you guys are the future of technology. So don't limit yourself to what you believe that you can do or you can't do. Don't limit yourself. Don't think about degrees that you need to have. We want you to go to school. We want you to take full advantage of that time that you were there. Get all that you can get while you were there. But we never started doing what we were doing. We never thought that we would be doing what we are doing. All right. So which means that there's no real true place to ground yourself to say, okay, I need to have this or I need to have that in order to succeed in this industry. You just need to have to want to be a part of something that is bigger than you. All right. And so that's my encouragement to you. Stay focused, be true to who you are, encourage yourself and be around the right people, and also be a source of encouragement to other people. Not just that you're being encouraged all the time, but you also want to be a source of encouragement to others. All right.
So that was a whole sermon that I completely agree with. Um, what can I add? If I'm taking my own experience and giving that to you as motivation, I would say in whatever you do, think outside the box and don't be afraid to do something that hasn't been done before, right? Apart from that, if you're interested in social media, everybody's on social media. Everybody needs social media right now. Everybody needs marketing. And the way to market effectively right now is social media, right? Use social media wisely, be responsible, use it for good. Use it for good. Thank you.
Yes. What I would say is to always have pride in your work. I don't know how I got this call to be on this panel. I don't know who called my name. I don't know what they saw, but always have pride in your work so that your work speaks for itself. And networking is key. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Even though you may be deemed or you may deem yourself as an expert, don't feel that you are above asking a question. You don't know everything. You cannot know everything. There's only one person that knows everything, right? You cannot, as humans, we cannot know everything. So networking is key. There are persons that I have on my WhatsApp that I have never met in person. It's just like ask a question and somebody passed me on this person and they have helped me solve problems throughout my career. And I've never met them, right? So networking is key and always have pride in how you present yourself and how you present your work.
To add on, I'm just trying to think my teenage self, what I needed to hear at that point in time. And that is don't be afraid to step up, look up, and achieve for greatness. Because yes, this you might know right now is your classroom, your classmates, but there's a world out there and it's calling for your impact because you have something to contribute to it. I want to also emphasize the little things that you may be involved in now can make an impact on your life. Me, when I was at school, if I had my dream job, I would be in karate because I'm a martial artist. And I thought, hey, I want something to do with karate. Little did I know, I met an instructor at university that merged my self defense aspect, karate aspect, into protecting systems and information systems and thinking about cybersecurity and that kind of stuff. So it's an evolution. So keep growing and keep evolving.
I won't keep you any longer. I'll just say be relentless. You guys have a lot more happening in your space than we would have had when we were your age. You have a lot more people's opinions and visibility. People can see you on your social media. You have a lot more operating in your space. You have a lot more influencing you, weighing on you, stressing you out, and pressuring you. Be persistent in what you want. Have a plan for what you want. Be flexible if that plan changes and life changes and you have to adapt that plan, but be persistent and relentless around a particular path. Don't let someone sway you from it. What is for you, but you have to be very focused on it. It's not going to come and drop in your lap. And that would be my parting word.
Ladies, I want to thank you so much for giving of your time this afternoon and for sharing your experiences with these young ladies and being able to leave them with words of encouragement in this particular area. Be assured that this is our first Girls in ICT activity, but it is certainly not our last. And we will certainly be calling upon you around the same time next year, April 24th. You can put it in your calendars. And certainly, I know that the Ministry of Innovation, Industry, Science, and Technology, and certainly, while I'm still with the Ministry of Finance, this forum will be available to young ladies as we promote girls in ICT. Thank you. Thank you.
Want to thank everybody. Everybody, ask the question. Please stand. We have something special for you. So all who asked a question, please stand. Okay. You're going to get your prize. All right. So just a general vote of thanks for everybody for coming out. All the schools who participated, all the amazing women who sat on our panel, everybody who helped out behind the scenes, which were all women, and all the men who are here. We haven't forgotten you. We still remember testosterone is important. You're still important. Thank you so much for coming to our first ever Girls in ICT event that we've had in a very long time. And we hope to see you again next year. Thank you.
I am a representative for XR Labs, and today we are here at the Women in ICT conference on April 24, 2025. So, XR Labs, we are here to represent the world of virtual reality as well as augmented reality. Over here, we have Tarika, and she is here with our VR headset. In our VR headset, there are several spaces that you can go to, courtesy of XR Labs, that we would like to call the metaverse and entering the metaverse. Moreover, over here, we have Danny. She is a chatbot that uses an open AI system, and this open AI system can allow you to answer any sort of questions regarding to science, technology, biology, chemistry, physics, anything of that nature. And if you want to find out any more information, please make sure to check out xrlab.io for more information.
Hi, I'm Renee Sion, and I am representing Riveting Media Inc. here at the Girls in ICT conference. So we're going to introduce you to Patsy. Now, this is not someone's aunt. This is actually a chat AI box that is going to help you virtually. Now, what's different about Patsy and being a virtual assistant is that she's Bajan. Well, at least she's trying to be. And we're training her to understand Barbadian culture and Barbadian dialect. The cool part is that Patsy knows a lot about the Caribbean. Usually when we see these virtual assistants, we often not see something that we're familiar with. What we did with Patsy is make it easy for you to relate to. So you see, Patsy has that look. Well, initially when we started with Patsy, we didn't see, so it's very interactive. She blinks, you actually feel like you're talking to somebody. Now, we know in Barbados, every neighborhood has that one Patsy who's willing to share information. So we wanted to bring it home and make you feel comfortable in asking questions about your country. So we're trying to show you that in the world of AI, we can actually have someone who understands the Caribbean, sounds a bit like us, we're still working on that, and AI is going to come right here for you to relate to.
My name is Captain Donovan Smith, and I'm officer in charge of the Barbados Defense Force unit, and I'm also a member of the cybersecurity unit for the Barbados Defense Force. Importantly too, as well, I'm also a reserve military officer. Today we are here giving back to the youth, as it is very important that we don't forget where we come from. And today, in celebrating ICT Day, World ICT Day for Girls, we have been asked to come and give us showcase a demonstration in UAV technology. In UAV technology, where we're using drones to do our job and to explain how we ably do our job for the military and the aid of national security, disaster recovery, and assessment.
Hi, my name is Jelani Payne. I am the Chief Instructor and founder of Robot Adventures, and we're here at the Women in ICT Day event here at Kensington Oval to showcase robotics. So we're actually showcasing robo games, that's one of it, and then we're also showcasing robo robotics on the other side, as well as mobile robotics. And so what we're doing here in terms of robo games is we're showcasing different games that we created that students can play with robotics. And this is useful for birthday parties, conferences, and all these types of things, right? So as you see here, we have a few different types of robots on the ground. We simply have our tiles here. We have some 3D printed equipment, right? So we have start and finish flags and so on, props, etc., cones, things that would get persons interested. And so who you see here, we actually have instructor Daryl, and he's here running one of our larger robots, right? Kids are usually pretty excited about this one because it can roll as well as it can pick up stuff. What's actually really interesting, what he's about to try to do is a game, right? We haven't named it. We're thinking maybe Flower Garden or somewhere along that line. It's really interesting creating new things, right? So basically, this is supposed to be a flower. Think Mario Kart, think the Super Mario games. And what they're supposed to do is you're supposed to pick up the flowers or the obstacles from the flowers, and you're supposed to replant them over here in the bigger obstacle, right? And of course, once you do that, then you can actually run through the rest of the maze.